When did your manager lose your respect? Was it after one single event or gradually? I'd love to know. In the majority of cases, managers lose the respect and trust of their teams gradually. Tiny little mistakes stacked one after another until poof! All of the trust and respect is gone. In this video, I'll break down the 8 invisible leadership mistakes that I made when I first started leading 19 years ago. And these mistakes cost me my first 3 teams. And I can guarantee you that at least one is gonna definitely surprise you. Confusing being liked with being respected. Now, I failed on this one with my first 3 teams, since I didn't know how to properly manage being liked versus being respected, and I tended to shift over more on being liked, since I always like to be as close and as friendly as possible with my team. And in the majority of cases, this is where new managers are actually going to fail. What new managers tend to do is they tend to try and be friendly with their team as to incur favor and what they think is respect. In the end, that is going to cause them to lose the respect and trust of their teams because they're trying to build friendships, and muddling these relationships is a recipe for disaster for the new manager. And it's not uncommon for new managers to fail. 60% of new managers fail within their first 18 months in their new role anyways. So in the end, you need to provide the boundaries and the expectations of your new role, of what they can expect from you, and then you need to follow through with this. Micromanaging, the bane of existence of every new manager and every one of their subordinates. And micromanaging usually happens, especially with new managers, when they're promoted into a new position and they're not sure of themselves. They have imposter syndrome and they think that they need to know everything that there is. They need to know every single detail about what their team members are doing, which is completely false. What you should do is coordinate, give goals, give deadlines, and make sure that your team has all of the resources that they need to accomplish their tasks. And that's pretty much it. Not having standards for yourself or your team. This inconsistency actually destroys far more teams than people actually realize because they don't know what they should expect or what they should do. Now, when you're giving standards and when you have standards specifically for yourself, and your standards should definitely be higher than your standards for your team, is that your team knows. They have predictability. They understand what needs to happen, what they have to do, and what are the standards for them achieving their tasks, their goals, and their deadlines. So one of the most common mistakes here is when we apply some standards for most of our team members, and then some for the ones that we actually like, or even harsher standards for the team members that we don't like. So I've been guilty of this throughout probably my career, and I always have a soft spot for my high achievers, for people that are so amazing that I just want to lower the standards for them at sometimes because they've slipped or they haven't met my standards. Saying yes to everything that your bosses request from you and your team. Now, we all know that saying yes to everything is a recipe for disaster and failure as a leader and manager. You have to set out boundaries. But most of the time, when we set out boundaries, we set out boundaries for the people around us, so our peers and our subordinates. We tend to actually never set up boundaries for our bosses because we always think that when our bosses, our managers actually give us some tasks and some deadlines, that they actually do know what they're doing, which in a lot of cases it's not. They just want you to work as much as you can so that they actually can get the results that they want to. Most of the time, your upper management is always going to be looking how to cut costs, especially if you're in operations like I've been most of my life, and on how to save each and every single dollar or euro. Now, the job of a leader is to make sure that we know what the capacities and abilities of our team are, and that we defend those capacities, that we don't sell our souls just so that our upper management and upper leadership is going to look favorably towards us, but then we sell our team completely and they have to work overtime, under stress, and weekends. And at the beginning, it's going to be hard for you as well, but stick to your guns, stick to what you know. You were promoted into this position for a reason, and defend your team always, especially when you know that they don't have a capacity anymore. Yes, you may get into hot water, they may fire you, but in the end, if you always will be under stress and under pressure, to achieve more with less. You even want to be in that team of rivals where nobody cares about anybody else. Avoiding small confrontations until they become big ones. Now, this is a major issue for most new managers, and it was for me and still is sometimes, when we just let some issue slip, some small confrontation, something we don't like from one of our team members. Maybe they're brilliant at their work, but they may be culturally not fit, and we just say like, we're just gonna let this slide because they're amazing at their job. And then we let it slide once, twice, 3 times, and then it becomes a major confrontation and a major issue. And when we go and tell this person, hey, this is not what I expect. I expected this and this and this from you. They're just gonna fire back, but why now? You've already let me slide this like 3-4 times, right? And then you need to provide them feedback on why, and it's gonna take such a long time to actually make sure that this person and this feedback actually rings true to that person. But what this is gonna do, it's gonna erode the confidence, respect, and trust in you as a leader. Whenever there are any issues, you need to tackle them right away. So taking all of the credit for your team's work. So this can happen really easily when you have meetings with your superiors and they say, hey Blaž, amazing job. You're leading amazing. Like you're achieving all of the results, all of the projects, all of the tasks. And then I just say nothing. I'm like, yep, we are. That's amazing. And everybody's tapping me on the back, but I'm not recognizing my team. And this is such a subtle way to actually bring resentment to the team that they're not worthy of recognition, of just recognizing them in any way. And what that will bring is it's going to erode trust, respect, and your people are going to actually be mad at you because they will want recognition in one way or another. A lot of times this mistake actually comes from our own vanity, that we don't feel that we're providing enough value to our team. Our imposter syndrome starts kicking in over time because our team is the ones that are doing all of the work. They're achieving all of the KPIs, they're finishing their projects and their tasks on time. That means that as a leader, I'm doing something really well. I'm leading and managing my team to success. And each and every individual team member's success and me recognizing them is actually me recognizing myself. Even though I'm doing this subtly, but still I'm recognizing them because without me, they wouldn't be able to achieve the success they are achieving right now. I was placed and you were placed in this position for a reason as a manager and a leader. So always recognize this. Hoarding decisions and becoming the bottleneck of the whole team. Now this really goes hand in hand with micromanaging and trying to take all of the credit for your team's effort. Now, the reason why this happens is when we become a manager and a leader, we go from an individual contributor who's actually done all of the work. We know how to do all of the work perfectly, but then we have a team that we need to manage. And because we have this imposter syndrome that we're not providing enough value and that we think that we're not supposed to be there, what happens is that we want to be the sole authority of any and all decisions that our team makes. You can fix this in the same manner that you can fix your micromanaging by giving your teams goals, deadlines, and guidance on what you actually expect them to achieve. And then let them decide whatever they need. If they need a decision from you that they think that they can decide by themselves, just let them know. If you have any issues, any challenges, any problems, or any decisions that you don't know how to make, just come to me and I'll help you. Most of new managers think that having their calendars filled completely from morning till the end of day is actually really productive and efficient use of their time. Nothing can be farther from the truth. As managers, us having eight daily meetings and back-to-back meetings, or even at times, I actually had 2 meetings at once that I was actually, on one of them I was on Zoom and the other one I was on Google Meets, just because people wanted me there, is not being productive. It actually completely burns you out. The brain isn't working anymore. And especially if you're forcing this on your team as well, that they need to have meetings every single day, 2 or 3 meetings with you, that is going to completely destroy what your team is doing. Now, at most, you should be having maybe 4 meetings, 5 meetings a day. If you're having one-on-ones with your team members, as usually I do on Mondays or Tuesdays, I'm going to be having back-to-back meetings with around 10 or 15 minutes in between. Well, that's okay because I know that those meetings are crucially important. And then the only other meeting that I'm going to have with my team is a team meeting. Every other meeting, if it's not necessary, I'm not going to have that meeting. I'm only going to have just check-ins with each and every one of my team members. Hey, how are you doing? How are you doing this? Other than that, I don't have regular morning stand-ups because I find them as a waste of time. Now, with my higher management, I also expect just to have 1 or 2 meetings, and one of them is going to be a one-on-one, and probably the other one, if they know what they're doing, is going to be a management team meeting with the whole managers that are subordinate to my boss, pretty much. And that pretty much should be it. Any and all other meetings shouldn't be there. If something can be said via email or via text, Slack, or whatever, just use Slack and stuff. Don't waste everybody's time to get prepared for the meeting and then discuss it during the meeting. So don't do that because meetings are stupid in general, and avoid them if you can.